savasyaha prakate janavan api prakritim yanti bhutani nigrahaha kim karsiyati. Translation. Even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature, for everyone follows the nature he has acquired from the three modes. What can repression accomplish? Purport. Unless one is situated on the transcendental platform of Krishna consciousness, he cannot get free from the influence of the modes of material nature, as it is confirmed by the Lord in the 7th chapter. Therefore, even for the most highly educated person on the mundane plane, it is impossible to get out of the entanglement of Maya simply by theoretical knowledge or by separating the soul from the body. There are many so-called spiritualists who outwardly pose as advanced in the science, but inwardly or privately are completely under particular modes of nature which they are unable to surpass. Academically, one may be very learned, but because of his long association with material nature, he is in bondage. Krishna consciousness helps one to get out of the material entanglement, even though one may be engaged in his prescribed duties in terms of material existence. Therefore, without being fully in Krishna consciousness, one should not give up his occupational duties. No one should suddenly give up his prescribed duties and become a so-called yogi or transcendentalist artificially. It is better to be situated in one's position and to try to attain Krishna consciousness under superior training. Thus one may be free from the clutches of Krishna's mind.
So Krishna is instructing Arjuna, and of course by instructing Arjuna, he's instructing all of us also. But he wants Arjuna to understand that he has a particular nature. Now Arjuna's nature is Kshatriya. He's inclined to fight. He's inclined to do battle. He's inclined to protect people and give shelter to people when they're in danger. So he has that particular nature which he's born from birth. He has that, and we see all of us. We have our individual natures. So, someone is Brahminical. They like to study. They like to worship the deity. They take pleasure in these kind of things. And for other people, they're more managerial and they want to manage and control others and tell people what to do. And then you've got people who are business, they're into business or maybe even farming, the Vaishya. And then there's the Sudras, the workers, who are always told, they have to be told what to do. So society is divided in these 4 different divisions, and we're meant to follow our particular nature. We try to do something which is not our nature, we won't feel happy, we won't feel peaceful and satisfied. You know, somebody may be a Brahmin, and they take a job, and they have to work for someone. They're not going to feel comfortable. They're not going to feel natural. They're working. They're becoming the servant of someone. But by nature, they're Brahminical. By nature, they're meant to be giving instruction to others and teaching others. The Brahmins are actually teachers. But if the Brahmin becomes a Sudra, becomes a common worker. So it's degrading for him. And similarly, Arjuna, his nature was a Kshatriya, but he was thinking that he would prefer to live by begging. In other words, he thought he could become a Brahmana. Brahmanas can beg. But Krishna told Arjuna, that's not your nature. You won't be able to do that for very long. See, that's the point, that if it's your nature, then you'll be happy, you'll be comfortable in that position. But if it's not your nature, you won't be satisfied. So without being in Krishna consciousness, fully Krishna conscious, we shouldn't try to give up our duties and responsibilities which we have in the world. Is it clear? Anybody has any questions?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. For example, somebody works as a scientist and they have to test on the animals. And once he asked me that because he doesn't have, he cannot find another work he's doing as a scientist, but he didn't like to test on the animals. Instead, he has a nature to do farming. But will they also get karma because they are doing their prescribed duties, or how I can guide them? Or what is some other devotees told that no, it's okay, even it's a job, so you do it Krishna conscious, then you won't have much karma like that.
Well, certainly there'll be karma. You do, even though it's your job, you're going to get karma. You cannot avoid the karma. But of course, it's proper that he's doing. In everything, there's going to be some karma. The only way you're going to avoid karma is when you're on the transcendental platform, that you've surrendered everything to Krishna. So you're not going to become so transcendental very easily. That's a big step up, to come up to the transcendental platform. But if he offers the results to Krishna, then that will help him to get relief from a lot of karma. Offer the results. In other words, you work, you make some money, so then he should contribute some of his money, his hard-earned wealth. He should contribute that for the service of Lord Krishna. And that will help him to get relief from his karma. And of course, he should also think himself unfortunate that he has to do that kind of work. Cutting up animals and testing on animals, it's not, certainly there's karma there. It's not good. We encourage people who do that kind of thing, better you give up that kind of work, find some other work. He's a scientist. If he's a scientist, he can easily teach. Better he is a teacher than doing that kind of research where you're cutting up animals.
Yeah, they also said because of this, they are saving so many people. So in one way, it's good because they are finding some medicines for the cancer by testing on the animals like that. So in the medical field, you have to test on some, like you have to get some practice by cutting the animals like that. Is it okay, Guru Maharaj, how to take this?
There's always karma. You can't think there's no karma. There will be karma. Whether it's good karma or bad karma, there's going to be karma. You may say, oh, it's doing some good. Maybe you'll get some good karma. But there's going to be some karma there. In everything, there's going to be some fault, right? That's described later on in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna said, just like when you light a fire, there's going to be smoke. You can't think you can light a fire, there won't be smoke. So in every endeavor, there's going to be some kind of fault. So he's trying to do some good. He's trying, you say cancer. I've never heard they found cure for cancer. They don't have any real cure for cancer. But anyway, they're doing this work, this research. It's not pleasant that they have to test animals at the expense of the animals. They have to test, they do the research. It's not a pleasant situation. I say he would be better to get out from that kind of work and just go and teach. If he really wants to avoid the karma, then that's what he should be doing. But, people get very attached to this kind of work. They're very attached. They make more money, maybe they get more money. You see, there's a lot of considerations there.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
But I don't like it. I don't know.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, as you said, there is we have to suffer like that, right? Maybe in the future, we can become animals and somebody test on us. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Well, that's there.
I won't take that risk.
Yeah, very difficult. Very risky to do this kind of work.
At the end, they are telling what can repression accomplish. What is that, Guru Maharaj? Why they are telling, Krishna is telling like that?
Oh, you should not misunderstand this. Sometimes people may take this out of context and people may think, oh, well, I have the desire to drink and I have the desire to eat. I have the desire to do a lot of sinful things, so I shouldn't stop myself. Krishna is not saying that. That's not the meaning there. What can repression come? The repression is that your nature is to be a Brahman or your nature is to be a Sudra. You should follow your nature. Don't try to be something else. Don't try to be what you're not. But it doesn't mean that, oh, I shouldn't try to control my senses. That's not the meaning. Everyone has to control their senses. That's the duty of every civilized person, to practice controlling the mind and senses. There must be that control over the mind and senses. But the repression is, you try to stop, you think, I'm tired of this family life, I'm going to give up my family, I'm just going to sit and chant Hare Krishna. That's also not proper. We have responsibilities. You have to meet your responsibilities. You cannot just give up whimsically. It must be authorized. Right?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Now I understand. .34, Ramya Mataji, can you please read?
Sure, Vaishnavi.
Thank you, Mataji.
Indrayashendriyasya te ragadevasyu vyavasiti tayorna vasam agashya tagi asya paripatino. Translation: there are principles to regulate attachment and aversion returning to the sense and their object. One should not come under the control of such attachment and aversion. because they are stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization. Purport. Those who are in Krishna consciousness are naturally reluctant to engage in material sense gratification. But those who are not in such consciousness should follow the rules and regulations of the revealed scriptures. Unrestricted sense enjoyment is the cause of material engagement. But one who follow the rules and regulations of the relieved sculptures does not become entangled by the sense objects. For example, sex enjoyment is a necessity for the conditioned soul, and sex enjoyment is allowed under the license of marriage ties. According to scriptural injunctions, one is forbidden to engage in sex relationship with any woman other than one's wife. All other women are to be considered as one's mother. But in spite of such injunctions, a man is still inclined to have sex relationship with other women. These propensities are to be curbed. Otherwise, they will be stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization. As long as material body is there, the necessity of the material bodies are allowed, but under rules and regulation. And yet, we should not rely upon the control of such allowance. One has to follow those rules and regulation unattached to them, because practice of sense gratification under regulation may also lead one to go astray. As much there is always a chance of an accident even on the royal roads. Although they may be very carefully maintained, no one can guarantee that there will be no danger even on the safest road. The sense enjoyment spirit has been currently a very long time moving to material association. Therefore, in spite of regulated sense enjoyment, there is every chance of falling down. Therefore, any attachment for regulated sense enjoyment must also be avoided by all means. But attachment to Krishna consciousness or acting always in the loving service of Krishna detach one from all kind of sensory activities. Therefore, no one should try to be detached from Krishna consciousness at any stage of life. The whole purpose of detachment from all kinds of sense attachment is ultimately to become situated on the platform of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
So Lord Krishna is warning us that we shouldn't become attached to sense gratification, even though we may say that sense gratification is according to religious principles. And Prabhupada gives the example about in married life, the husband and wife may enjoy their marital relationship. And so that can also be sense gratification, although it's religious, although it's not directly sinful, but because if it's more for the pleasure of the body than for pleasure of Krishna, then it's sense gratification. So there's different levels of sense gratification that you can see. There's gross sinful sense gratification, which is against religious principles. And then there's sense gratification, which is also material sense gratification. And even though it's done according to the spiritual principles, but it's binding to the material world. And you get karma for it, even though it's not directly, not openly sinful, but because there's the thought of sense gratification. It's not just for Krishna, but it's for me. I want to enjoy. So this is a problem, and this doesn't allow us to progress in our Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada gives the example about the danger on the royal road, because in India, like in Calcutta, they have one road, which was, they heard that it was supposed to be that the Queen of England was going to come and visit Calcutta. So they built a very special road that she was going to go down, and she would drive down this road and go to the Victoria Memorial, Victoria built that big monument there, which is there in Calcutta. What is it called? Victoria Monument or something? Anyway, she was going to go there, and they had the beautiful road all made for a very big, wide, very flat road. And so it was called the Royal Road. So they may have the Royal Road, just like, you know, in Delhi, when somebody will come from the airport, maybe some leader of a big foreign country will come. So they'll bring him along a very special road, the best road. They're not going to take him on the back roads. They'll go down the big highway. And so consider safer, but it's pointed out there's also danger there. You can also get accidents there. Even though you're on the good road, there can also be accidents. So even though you're following rules and regulations, but because there's the motivation is not for Krishna, but the motivation is for sense gratification to satisfy the body, so it's not good. It's dangerous. Just like you want to eat meat, so you kill a goat on the dark moon night. You go before Goddess Kali and you kill the goat. So you may say, this is pious, this is religious. Yes, it's according to Shastra, but it's the killing of the goat itself is, it's not, it's binding. And the fact is that when you kill the goat, you have to tell the animal that I'm killing you, in the future you can kill me. So that's the reaction which comes. You do something sinful, you do something for sense gratification, there'll be a reaction. You get reactions for it. There's some karma, some binding, some reactions going to come. So Lord Krishna is warning Arjuna that don't be just attached to these different rules and regulations, that can also be a problem. You may say you're following, you're doing everything correctly, but if you just do it for our own thinking, for our own pleasure, and not for Krishna, we're not thinking what Krishna wants, then it's not very good. Any questions? Okay, we can go on. Next verse.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
It's the Victoria Memorial in Calcutta. Victoria Memorial.
Memorial, Victoria Memorial.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Hare Krishna.
Piranglo Prabhuji, do you want to read this verse? 3.35?
Yes. 3:35 Bhagavad Gita. Shrayam svadharmo viguna paradharmat svanushtita. Svadharme nidanam shreya paradharmo bhaya vahak. Translation. It is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even through faultly, than another's duties perfectly. Destruction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another duties, for to follow another's path is dangerous. Purport. One should therefore discharge his prescribed duties in full Krishna consciousness rather than those prescribed for others. Materially, prescribed duties are duties enjoined according to one's psychophysical condition, under the spell of the modes of material nature. Spiritual duties are as ordered by the spiritual master for the transcendental service of Krishna. But whether material or spiritual, one should stick to his prescribed duties even up to death, rather than imitate another's prescribed duties. Duties on the spiritual platform and duties on the material platform may be different, but the principle of following the authorized direction is always good for the performer. When one is under the spell of the modes of material nature, one should follow the prescribed duties, the prescribed rules for his particular situation, and should not imitate others. For example, a Brahmana who is in the mode of goodness is non-violent, where a Kshatriya who is in the mode of passion is allowed to be violent. As such, for a Kshatriya, it is better to be vanquished following the rules of violence than to imitate a Brahmana who follows the principles of non-violence. Everyone has to cleanse his heart by a gradual process, not abruptly. However, when one transcends the modes of material nature and is fully situated in Krishna consciousness, he can perform anything and everything under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master. In that complete stage of Krishna consciousness, the Kshatriya may act as a Brahmana, or a Brahmana may act as a Kshatriya. In the transcendental stage, the distinctions of the material world do not apply. For example, Vishvamitra was originally a Kshatriya, but later on he acted as a Brahmana. Where Parashuram was a Brahmana, but later on he acted as a Kshatriya. Being transcendentally situated, they could not do so. No, they could do so, sure, because they were transcendentally situated. But as long as one is on the material platform, he must perform his duties according to the modes of material nature. At the same time, he must have a full sense of Krishna consciousness.
So Prabhupada is relating the duties of people according to their position in the Varnas, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra. Of course, today we don't have this. It said in the Kali Yuga, we're all low, we're all lower, Sudras and lower. We're not in the Varnashram system. But it's important principle for us to understand. And the principle is that you do what you're supposed to do and don't try to do another's duty. Unless we're actually on the transcendental platform, it will not be good. But once we become fully Krishna conscious and we're able to transcend, then in that position, then you can do anything for Krishna. So Prabhupada makes the point that you have to go a little slowly. It's going to take some time. Don't rush and be so eager you want to come to the transcendental platform, and then we get problems. And, oh, why is this wrong? Oh, I never thought it would be like that. You know, somebody may think, oh, it's so difficult to be a Kshatriya. I have to punish people. I have to do things, I have to tell lies and so on. But for the Brahmana, there's also difficult things. In every job, in every situation, there's going to be difficulties. One has to be tolerant, and you have to do what you're supposed to do. So Prabhupada said, a Kshatriya is better to be vanquished as a Kshatriya than to try to be a Brahmana. So this is like Arjuna, he's a Kshatriya, but he's thinking he would rather be a Brahmana. So this would not be good. Prabhupada said everyone has to cleanse his heart by a gradual process, not abruptly. We often want to do everything very abruptly. You know, we think one time chanting the holy name and I'm going to give up everything, I'll leave the world and I'll never be the same. But it's not so easy. It takes a lot of time and gradually preparing ourselves, and you know, eventually we can become more transcendentally situated. So we have to understand people's natures and try to engage them, let them do something for the service of Krishna. And as Prabhupada said, purify the heart gradually rather than abruptly. And if you try to do it abruptly, it will be very difficult. They'll get problems, there'll be problems, and people will regret, and they want to go back to their old situation. It may be very difficult once they've given up everything to go back again to their old situation. So we tell people, take your time, just come gradually. Gradually purify the heart by regularly chanting and hearing about Krishna. Don't become like a crazy person. And even Lord Chaitanya, 500 years ago, Lord Chaitanya spoke like that to Raghunath Das. Raghunath Das, he was the son of a very wealthy man. His father was maintaining all the Brahmanas in Bengal by giving charity. And Raghunath, his son, wanted to leave home and go to join Lord Chaitanya. And so Lord Chaitanya told him, just go home and act like a normal person. He said, don't be a sahajya. Sahajya means one who takes everything to be very cheap. So sometimes people think that, you know, Krishna consciousness is something very cheap, that it's easy, anybody can do that. Not so easy. Gradually you have to purify the heart. So this is the point. Any questions?
Yes, Prabhu, I have one from me. So this verse I have actually first came across in Bangladesh because many people mentions it as towards to let Bengalis know that people shouldn't be changing their religion. They should be in the religion that they are born in. And by religion, they mean actual, like identifiable religion, like the one that like Hindu, Muslim, and so on. And I always thought that Prabhupada's purport didn't really only limit the sense of religion into that, but it actually, like what as you explained, it's actually a lot more than what is the religion that we are born in only. So yeah, but I see that the narrative is being explained by by a mass population of people, and I just think that they are misled by a slightly wrong explanation of this verse.
Well, we have to understand, you know, to what you're saying, religion is one. There's only one religion, and that real religion is service to God. Whether you're a Hindu or a Muslim or a Christian, that's sectarian. That's not so important. We don't worry about that. What is important is that mood of giving service to God. Whether you're from Christian or Muslim or Hindu or Buddhist or whatever, but that's not important. That's maybe by birth that you're in that particular position. But you don't need to change it, but you do have to understand what is the real principle of religion. And the actual principle of religion is to give service to God and to awaken our love for God. There's only one God and there's only one religion, And that real religion is service to God. This is an important point. You have to understand, you know, we're all spirit souls. There's no question of a Hindu soul or a Christian soul. And, you know, you go back to Godhead, it's not that you're a Hindu or a Christian or a Muslim. In the kingdom of God, everyone's servants of God. So we're cautious about sectarianism, dividing ourselves, separate, you know, making distinctions. So this is the teaching of Bhagavad Gita, Sanatan Dharma, eternal religion. Yeah?
Yes. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
So when I meet Buddhists, I often tell them, you know, that you want to become the servant of Buddha. Don't try to become the Buddha. Just remember, the goal should be to become the servant of Buddha. And certainly this is true in Christianity. Generally, they want to love God. They speak about love of God more than service to God. They do speak about love of God. And Islam also, they generally like the you know, there's not really a lot of difference between these different faiths. See, these are not really religions, these are faith. This is a faith. Someone has Christian faith, Muslim faith, Hindu faith, but real religion, dharma, you know, that is a different thing. That's on a different platform. So we want to bring people up to the higher platform to understand what is real religion. All of these quarrels and wars which have gone on in the world in the name of religion are all due to ignorance. People are in ignorance about their actual identity, their spirit, and their what is actually their religion. So there's a need for people to come together, all these different faiths of the world. There's a need for them all to unite and to recognize that there is but one God and there is but one religion, and we all want to develop love of God. And the different faiths may have their different methods, some different scriptures, different methods, but ultimately the goal is the same. Yes?
So Guru Maharaj, if they chant any holy name of the Lord, they can get love of Godhead by different methods, faiths, like, is it like that or?
Yes. Lord Chaitanya, and in the Shikshastikam prayers, we say that, and in the second verse it said, you're so kind, you've given us so many names to chant. There are many different names. Some names are primary names and some names are secondary names. Primary, you know, not all the names, not every name is the same. You see, some names, just like we say 1,000 names of Vishnu is equal to one name of Lord Rama. And then we say 3 names of Lord Rama is equal to once chanting the name of Lord Krishna. So different names do have different potencies. It's not like every name is the same. In the same way, there are some names where we address God in a secondary manner. We may call him, O Lord of the world, O Lord of the universe, O Creator, O Almighty, O Great One. These are like secondary names, but there are personal names. You see, when Prabhupada was incorporating the Society of ISKCON, so there was some discussion about what the name of the society should be. So somebody wanted to make it the International Society for God Consciousness. But Prabhupada said, well, I want to give God his name. God is his position. But if we make it the Society for Krishna Consciousness, then this is the name of God. So just like teacher, you may say teacher, sir. You know, teacher also has a name. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, madam. You know, each person have their name. They have their personal name. And so that in Krishna consciousness, we call Krishna Yashodanandan, like that, Braja Yashodanandan, and Govinda.
Jana Ramjana.
All right, there are many different names of the Lord.
Damodar.
Yeah, Damodar,
Sham Sundar.
Sundar, yeah, so many names of the Lord are there. And so these are personal names because you're describing his personal features. But if we describe him just as position, oh Almighty, oh Lord of the creation, Ishwara, it's like, you know, this is his position. But if we actually describe his name in relation to devotees, that is especially pleasing to Krishna. So we try to, when we address the Lord, we try to use his personal name.
The name Krishna is personal, or how is it, Guru Maharaj? It's
Yeah.
a primary name.
Krishna is very personal, yes. Krishna is his name. Yeah.
But it's, yeah, sorry.
That's why all the power, potency is there. We said 3 names of Lord Rama is equal to 1 name of Krishna. So the name of Krishna is very powerful. Krishna, the all-attractive, yes, it's very personal, and it's very pleasing. Govinda also. These are the most famous of all of the Lord's names. But the devotees, we can also call him as Parthasarati and Brajendra Nandan, Yashoda Nandana Yamuna Tira, how does it go? Yashoda Jivana, Yamuna Jivana, many wonderful names. Hayagriva, Makana Gochara, Madhava. So many nice names of the Lord. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written these songs made up of the names of Lord Krishna. So we address the Lord with his personal name. It's more direct. Those who have knowledge about the Lord, then they can address by his personal name. But people who don't know about the Lord, then they will address more just in relation to his potencies or his position. So it's going to be different for different people.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Bhagavad Gita 3.36.
Oh, I have a
And-
question. I have just a question about Vishvamitra. Prabhupada speaks about Vishvamitra, who was a Kshatriya, but later he acted as a Brahmana. So this Vishvamitra, when was he living? In which Leela of Krishna?
Well, Vishvamitra was definitely there in the pastimes of Lord Rama, more active in the pastime of Lord Rama,
Rama. Okay.
where we hear he had some conflict with Vashishta, and he saw the power. He saw Vashishta had one cow, a Kamadhenu cow, and he was attracted by the power of this cow, because what happened is Vishvamitra had been a Kshatriya king, and he came with his army one time, and Vashishta had this cow, and he invited the Kshatriya king to come with all of his army. He said, I will feed all of you. And so Vishvamitra was puzzled. How is it this one Brahmana sage, how is he going to feed all of us? But Vashishta said, no problem. My Kamadhenu cow will provide it. And from the cow, he was able to produce everything to satisfy the king and all of his army. So Vishvamitra was really impressed, and he decided, he said, I'm the king, you know, I want that cow, you should give it to me. And so Vashishta said, no, I'm sorry, I can't give you this cow, this is my cow. And so Vashishta refused to give the cow. So Vishvamitra, he was a Kshatriya at this time, he tried to take the cow by force, but he found he couldn't, because the Brahmana defeated him. Vashishta was an elderly Brahmana, but he was so powerful with the power of the Brahmana that he defeated the Kshatriya. And so when Vishvamitra was defeated, he decided that he also wanted to become a Brahmana. He said, he understood this Brahmana is so powerful. He said, I want to become a Brahmana. So it took him a long time. It took him many, many, many years of penance and austerities. And finally, he became a Brahmana. Because previously his name was not Vishvamitra. What was his name previously? Anyway, he became Vishvamitra as a yogi, as a great sage, a Brahma Rishi. So he was impressed with the power of the Brahmana, so he decided he would also become a Brahmana. So that's what happened. He became a Brahmana, and he became a great Brahmana, and at one point he came to Lord Rama's palace, and he told Maharaj Dasarath that I need your son. I want your son to kill some demons. And Maharaj Dasarath was afraid. He thought, oh no, my son can't go. These demons are very powerful. Something may happen to my son. He didn't want to let Lord Rama go. But finally he was perfect. He said, no, you have to let him go because Vishvamitra is asking. And Vishvamitra could have killed the demons himself, but he'd become a Brahmana. So he didn't want to kill any demons. He thought this is the duty of the Kshatriyas. So they came to Lord Rama's father's palace, and he told Lord Rama's father, I need your son to kill these demons, these Rakshasas. So Vishvamitra took Lord Ram there with Lakshman, and they killed these demons. Because Vishvamitra, he could give the mantras, he knew all the astras and the weapons, so he gave everything, gave all the knowledge to Lord Rama and Lakshman. And with that knowledge, they were able to defeat these Rakshasas who were coming and giving trouble. So Vishvamitra is there in Ramalila. We don't see him so much in Krishna Lila, but in Rama Lila he's there.
Very nice.
Vishwamitra is one of the 7 sages also.
Vishwamitra?
Yeah, I mean, I heard the name Vishwamitra in the 7 sages. I don't know if it's the same personality. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, will be, yeah. Yeah, so he went on to become one of the great sages. Yeah. By his austerity, by his penances, he became purified. But it's also told that in the course of his becoming a Brahmana, he also fell down because he was becoming very powerful. So Indra became worried that Vishwamitra is becoming very powerful. So he sent a heavenly girl to bewilder Vishwamitra. And Vishwamitra was in the mountains meditating when he heard the ornaments of a beautiful lady. And he looked up and he saw the beautiful lady, and he immediately broke his meditation and he got involved with the beautiful woman. And together they had a child. And after the child was born, then Vishwamitra realized that he had lost his spiritual progress, that he had gone to the mountains to do meditation to get away from the world, but somehow this woman had come there and bewildered him and broke his meditation and caused him to give up his spiritual practice. So he was very regretful. Anyway, he had to start again. He had to, you know, he had to begin again and pick up where he left off. And so he had problems. It wasn't easy. That's the point, that he was trying to get spiritual progress, but it was very difficult for him. There were so many dangers, so many obstacles. So you have to expect in the course of spiritual practice, there will be troubles, there will be failures. You have to go on, you have to be able to pick yourself up and continue. Okay, I think we should chant japa now.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.